Autobots, roll out!
Hello and welcome to That's Just Prime, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers MPM-4 movie masterpiece Optimus Prime, and I'm very conflicted about how I feel over this toy. Originally released in August of 2017, he's currently in stores right now as of the time of this recording, and he retails for approximately $100. So, many things have been said about this figure online, both good and bad, and I can't disagree with, I don't think I can disagree with any of them. This has been, by far, one of the most frustrating Transformers I have ever put my hands on. I got this guy a little over a week ago, and I've been transforming him daily, and still, over a week later, I have problems transforming this thing. It is very frustrating. This is not a fun toy to transform. Now, that being said, this figure, what you do get is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. I absolutely adore how this figure looks. In both truck mode and in robot mode, I think this figure is absolutely stunning. But getting to either one of those modes is frustrating, it's not fun, and I even at one point just completely unconsciously, as I was transforming it, I got so frustrated that I just kind of threw it down against the table. Not very hard, I just kind of had it up at like this height, and I just kind of went and just kind of threw it on the table. That's how frustrated I got with this thing. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it until I'd done it. I'm like, oh my God, I just threw this $100 figure on the table. Very frustrating. I agree with what a lot of people have said about this figure. I think Hasbro may have possibly rushed it because of the movie releases. And it could have used a little more QC. There are a lot of nuances on this figure. There's a lot of things that have to be done in a very specific order, and they have to be done just so. And if you don't get them just so, the figure will not be transformed correctly. There are things like these pipes down here that don't line up. If you see, sometimes these line up, sometimes they don't. The windshields and the hood here, this has been a big, huge point of contention. A lot of people have talked about those. Now, I'll say right off the bat, I have not modified this figure in any way. This is exactly the way it comes out of the box. I've watched a whole ton of videos online and just learned where all the little nuances were and how to transform it. And that's the thing about a masterpiece figure, a figure that is going to cost you $100. You should not have to go online and do research on it and learn all these little nuances about how to transform it. For $100, you should be getting a figure that works. If you follow the instructions, this figure is not going to work. There are a lot of things, and even things that I did not find online or on reviews or other videos or anything like that. There are things that I have found over a week and a half of transforming this thing on a daily basis. I have found little things here and there that, oh, this needs to happen first and that needs to go there in order for this to work right. And that $100 figure should not put you through that kind of frustration. It just shouldn't. It should work. My experience with other masterpiece figures is that they have complex yet not complicated transformations, and they work, and the figure will work in both modes, and getting there once you learn the transformation is relatively easy. This figure does not do that. Even after you learn the transformation, there are still things that don't work, and you have to go back, and you have to, I did this in the wrong order. It's a real pain in the butt to transform. So enough about the negativity. I don't like to be negative on my videos, but I also want to be honest, and it's been a frustrating figure, and for $100 this should work for the price. This should work, and it doesn't, and I think QC could have looked at this thing a couple more times, and there could have been a couple of things that could have been adjusted to this figure before it got released to market. So enough about that. Let's get to the positive of the figure. Like I said, absolutely breathtaking, stunning, beautiful figure. As you can see here in truck mode, Optimus measures approximately 10 inches long. He's about 3.5 inches tall at the top of the sleeper cab, 4 if you want to go to the top of the smokestacks. And as you can see, we're back to the Peterbilt truck. And just the detail on this guy is absolutely stunning. You don't see any robot anywhere. Even if you look under the truck, if you know what you're looking at, you know that you're looking at the legs, but if you didn't, you really wouldn't know that you're looking at parts of a robot there. Just the absolute level of detail and the paint, just absolutely gorgeous. Now, the paint job, I think, they did the gold on the fenders, but they didn't do the gold around the front of the hood. I think that's a shame. But other than that, as you can see, just absolutely breathtaking and stunning, gorgeous, gorgeous truck. He does come with some weapons. So Optimus comes with this rifle that you saw him use in the movie. And he also comes with these 2 swords, which is really nice that they didn't do, one of this figure shares a lot of similarities with the Revenge of the Fallen mold, leader class mold. There's a lot of parts of the transformation that are very similar to that figure. And one downfall about that figure were these swords. The fact that they had the kind of like that swing action that they popped out of the arms. They looked good when they were out, but when you tried to put them in, they were kind of intrusive. This method of having them apart from the figure and being able to pop it on and off works really, really well. Now, you can put these together, and there's a tab and a slot. Tab on the side of the sword, slot on the side of the weapon, and you can just tab those in there, like so. And then you can use this tab on the bottom of the gun, and you can slot it right here into the hitch. So you can just do that right there. And then Optimus can have this sword cannon on the back of his truck. It's storage for vehicle mode. I don't care for it, but it's there if you want to use it. Now, so that's the weapons. As far as the vehicle itself, I don't know if there's a whole lot more I can say about the vehicle. I'm going to try to back up here as much as possible so that we can do some comparisons. But yeah, I think I've said everything there is to say about this vehicle. It's absolutely stunning and gorgeous, and it very well may be the last time that I see this truck mode, because once I transform him in the robot mode, he's going on my shelf. I don't think I'm going to transform him ever again. For comparison, here he is next to MP-10 Optimus Prime. So you can see the size differences there. There you go. And then here he is next to the Revenge of the Fallen leader class mode. And this is the actual Revenge of the Fallen one, not the battle hooks or the wing blade or anything else that came after. And again, they share a lot of similarities, especially in the engineering and the way they transform. I really thought that this figure here was about as close as masterpiece as we were going to get. But they came out with this guy. It's just so beautiful. But now in truck mode, you're going to notice that the MP is a little smaller. It's a little shorter, and it's not as tall, so there you go. But there they are together, so you can see what they look like. There you go. Now, let's get into what is probably going to be the meat of this video, and that's going to be the transformation. So, to get started with the transformation, take the smokestacks and just push these guys right in. So, I'm pushing right there. Back plate right here is going to fold down. Back fenders are tabbed in, so you're going to pull up on these guys. And once you tab them in, they can get in there kind of tight. There's a tab and a slot right there. So just untab these guys from each side. And then these toolboxes are tabbed into these blue plates right there. So we're going to untab that there and untab that there. And now this bottom panel on the sleeper cab is free to come out. So we're going to untab it. Just kind of pull it out, as you see, and then pull down on it. And that's going to kind of release it. And I like to bring the fenders out at an angle. There's a hinge right here. I like to bring those out at an angle just to kind of get them out of the way. So we'll do the same thing here. Pull the tank outwards and then pull down on the panel. And then just kind of get these panels out of the way. Next, we are going to take the entire top of the truck here. We're going to unpeg it at the bumper right here, or on the grill rather. And then it's also going to unpeg here on the sides. You see the tab there right behind the wheel well, one on each side. That's going to untap. And then the whole front of the truck, or rather the top half of the truck, is going to come up on this hinge, and it's going to come up and over, and we're going to leave that back there for the time being. These tabs probably unpegged when you did that. There are 2 tabs right there and there that are tabbed into the hips, so you can take the hips and just kind of pull down on them there and there. You can see how the whole center part of the hip just kind of slid outwards. So you want to do that right there. Okay, we're gonna get to the front of the truck here. It's already kind of falling apart. You can see these panels already kind of popped open, so it's going to be difficult to get in camera. So we'll go ahead and work with these guys. These blue panels that the boxes were tabbed into, you can go ahead and bring these down. This is on a double hinge, so make sure you bring down both hinges. Now, for truck mode, it folds at that inner hinge like that. Okay. For robot mode, we want to make sure that we bring that hinge all the way down, because we're going to fold up at this outer hinge. So we're going to bring this panel up. This piece of the tailpipe, go ahead and rotate that and put it away inside of that box. And then this whole box is going to go inside of that slot right in there. It should snap into place. Then bring this down. Bring the wheel well. The wheel wells are tabbed in right there, so go ahead and rotate the wheel well. Bring all of that in. And then take this box again at the outer hinge and bring it up just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Bring in the pipe, rotate the wheel well, open this blue box at the inner hinge, take the step, put it inside that slot, snap that in place, bring this down, and close the box at the outer hinge. Take the bottom of the grill right here, split this. These are going to be tabbed here at the middle of the grill, and also right there at the ankle. There's a peg there and there's a port there, so just pop those open. And these feet are going to work exactly like the ones on the Revenge of the Fallen mold. So take these parts and split them open, bring the grill in, and then accordion this up and snap it into place, and that's going to be his foot. Same thing for the other leg. Accordion that in and snap that into place. And the legs are almost done. I'm going to go ahead and straighten the legs out. Again, make sure that the hips are down. And now here's a couple of things that are not included in the instructions. So if you pull out on the knee panel, there's a peg and a port right here inside of the knee panel. So that kind of pegs in there when it's in truck mode. For robot mode, what you want to do is, you'll notice that there's a hinge here, and then this whole knee part also rotates. So what I do is I bring the knee forward on the bottom hinge there, just like that. And that is going to make this tab meet that tab and keep the knee plate out, just like that. So that's going to be the difference between that knee plate looking like that and this knee plate looking like this. So that's what's going to make that difference there, just like that. Take the wheels, and it's really, really difficult to see, but these bottom wheels here, they're going to snap in. They just kind of slide down a little bit and snap in. There you go. And then the back wheels, they're going to slide up. I'm usually don't bother doing that until I'm completely in robot mode, because I'm likely to push them down while I'm still working with it. Two more things that are not included in the instructions. There are these two skid plates back here, and these will pull out right here at the bottom. They will come out just a little bit, and they don't do a whole lot other than just stick out for robot mode. And I dropped my camera. Worst review ever. This is a difficult transformation to do because A, it's so complex, and B, it takes up so much room. And then finally, the last part of the legs is these panels here. If you take them up here at the top and push the top in, you'll notice that these panels will pop out just like that. And again, they don't do much other than just look nice. So there it is. So there's that. There's the legs of the robot pretty much all done. Now, we're going to bring the top of the truck back forward again so we can concentrate on this part. Take the top half of the panels of the sleeper cab. First, take the smoke pipes and just kind of unpeg them. These smoke pipes are pegged in, so just kind of rotate them forward a little bit, and that's going to release this whole panel and this panel back here. And you can rotate this all the way up, and then you can just accordion that in like that, like that and bring this in like so. And that's going to stay there for the time being. So do that again on this side. Bring the panel in, accordion in, and bring those, leave them there for now. Now, this part here can get a little tricky because getting these to close, once you get them to close, this whole part here gets very, very tight. So we'll see what we can do. We're going to grab these air filters here. I'm going to pull out on these guys. And then I'm going to take the windows. And the windows are pegged in. There's a tab and a port right there. So I'm going to pull those out and just get them out of the way. And now I want to separate these panels from the hood right there. So I'm going to pull up on that. Actually, that came off kind of easy. Usually that gives me a lot of trouble when I'm trying to transform them in the robot mode. They get stuck very, very solid, which I guess is a good thing. But because you can see how thin these are, it's very, very scary when you're trying to force them to release. So I'm glad that came off easily the way that did. And then this is just going to rotate all the way forward like that. And you can see his head there. Okay, things are really going to start getting in the way now. So let's take the front of the, what's left of the hood here, not you. These are going to separate, and these are tabbed in kind of solid as well. Tabs here and here, these are going to be the arms. You can take the part of the forearm here. This whole panel is going to just rotate out just ever so slightly. Again, not part of the instructions. This panel, however, is going to rotate. And there is a tab in there, so it's going to, once it gets to the right place, it's going to push down as you saw me do just now. It won't push down anywhere else. It will only push down once it gets to where it's supposed to be. And then you can push that down, and it's going to reveal the hands. Bring the arms, bring these panels down, get them out of the way. Bring the arms out, like so. And then this whole panel here, I'm going to rotate this up and over. This is where the matrix is kept, so I'll show that once we get to robot mode. And this whole little panel here is going to rotate up, and it's going to go into that chamber right in there. That's going to snap into place. Now we can take the whole... This is really hard to show. Alrighty. Rotate it so that these panels here, the ones with the fenders, are back behind you. All right, so we want these panels pointing straight down, the matrix chamber pointing straight up at us, and this silver panel pointing straight up, just like that. Okay, so now we're gonna take. Let's see, am I doing this right? Yep, that's gonna. These are gonna stay down just like so. Okay, take the smoke pipes and rotate these up on this double hinge, and this whole thing is going to come in just like this. So much easier off camera. There it goes. So there, that's going to rotate just like that, and just kind of get it all to fit right in there. We're going to want to untab the top of the cab here. If it hasn't already naturally, just untab that there. And then split these apart. Split these apart right here. The roof of the truck's going to split apart and slide away from each other. And these can come down like so. I'm going to bring these windows forward to get them out of the way. And it looks like a complete mess. So at this point, really, all I'm going to do is just kind of straighten things out. Get the hips straight. Get the hitches pointing straight back. So let's go back here so you can see what's going on. So the hitch is pointing straight back, and you can see that these panels with the tailpipes are going to just kind of hug that right there. Now we're going to work on the arms. These panels need to be backing out of the way. Actually, why don't we work on these panels now? That'll make things a lot easier. Let's see if I can move the camera up a little bit. So I kind of got auto. At some point here, I got out of order. So these panels are going to come up behind you, or behind the figure rather, and then you're just going to rotate up like so. And then these fenders, they're going to rotate. You remember this piece had a hinge here, so these are going to rotate. You can see there's a tab there and a slot there. So just bring these up and around, tab them into the toolbox, and then bring that down. And this is going to help to just get these panels up and out of the way. Same thing with this panel here. Rotate that around, tab it into the toolbox, and close that up. And then rotate them so that the lights or the reflectors are pointing up. And that is going to help us work with the front, because now these panels are just going to stay out of the way. So just leave them back there like that. Let's go back around to the arms. That's going to be flat there. Something, I think I forgot something, because something's not working for me. So, all right, before you bring the arms up, you're going to want to reach inside of the shoulder panel there and bring this little plate out, whatever that thing is. Then you can bring these up. Same thing on this side. Now, this is one of those parts where you really have to start paying attention to where everything goes, and everything has to start snapping into place. Because if you don't snap everything into place just right, it's just not going to work. So there's a tab in there that needs to tab in. So push down on that until you hear it snap on both sides. Once you do that, then you can bring the shoulders in, snap those into place. Something's in my way. Let's see. Top of the panels are snapped in. Shoulders come up. Snaps into place. And I wasn't lying to you guys. It's a very complicated and frustrating transformation. All right, I think something is not lining up because these shoulders keep popping off on me. So let's see if we can figure out what that is. Okay, there it goes. So the top part of the torso here wasn't snapped in all the way. So now these should be snapped in place. And this grill part here, there's a tab there and a slot in there. That should line right up. Tab in place. That's going to help you hold the torso in place. Now the arms should snap into place, and they sure did. Much easier that time. And things are finally starting to line up properly. And you can see how fiddly this is. It's just very fiddly. Again, this is not a fun transformation. It's not easy to remember. It's overly complicated. It's just not fun. But the end result is going to be gorgeous too. Okay, get these windows out of the way here. And then these panels are going to rotate in just like that. You gotta work them around the window there. Be careful because these are very thin panels. And then the inside, geez. All right, sorry about that. At this point, normally I would just start over. I would just start a new video because I've dropped the camera twice and that's just unacceptable. But this figure is so complicated that I'm just going to continue from where I was at because I'm not transforming this thing again. I'm not going to. So on these panels, you can see there's a tab in there. That's very difficult to see on here now. But you see these two slots on the torso there. So that's where that's going to go. So again, fold that in. Work it around the window carefully. Bring it all the way back. And then tab that red panel in there. And at this point, then you can take the windows here, the blue windows, and bring them around the front. Take these headlights and push them back if you haven't done so already. That's another nuance. Out of the box, those did not tab for me. Not ever, not at all. They would not work. And the reason these wouldn't work is because these blue panels were not snapped down out of the box. So that's one thing that I had to learn on my own. All right, the arms. Let's get him standing straight. We'll move this guy up. All right, so these panels here, these are going to come out. Rotate the air canister to the top, and then rotate that up, and just kind of slide it up, and that's going to sit there on the top of the shoulder. Same thing here. Rotate that up. Take these panels here. These are going to hinge upwards. There's two hinges, one on the bottom, one at the top. So bring it up, and then rotate it. Mine tends to be a little tight, but there it goes. Alrighty, And at this point, we're straightening things out. Finally, we're going to get these panels in the back here. Remember, these were pointing up. And there's a tab there and a slot back there. So just tab those guys in place. And we're actually, I was wrong. These lights are going to point down. So there you go. That's the angle that you want them at. So let's correct that. Tab those in. And at this point, we're done. All we're doing now is fixing panels and straightening things out and making sure that things are standing and lined up correctly. Make sure that his hips have a tendency, if you remember these hips slid for the transformation in the truck mode, and they do, if you push down on him, they'll push right back down, which takes away height from him. So at this point now, it's time to just straighten everything out, get him standing in a heroic pose. And see, every time I grab his legs, I pop these panels, I pop them back in every time. So that's one of those kind of very fiddly parts that I'm always messing with. All right, so now I'm just getting them, again with a panel. I'm just getting them straightened out there, standing straight. You see the legs are not the same length. You see that? You guys see that? These legs are not the same length. Why not? Because these are not lined up properly. There. If I haven't convinced you already of how frustrating this thing is, I don't think I ever will. Now he's straight. There he is. Okay, and there is masterpiece Optimus Prime finally in robot mode. Here in robot mode, Optimus is approximately 10.5 inches tall, and he is absolutely stunning, gorgeous, gorgeous figure. But yeah, that's probably going to be the last time I've transformed him. As you saw, it's not easy to transform. Very fidgety, very complicated. Just not fun. I dropped the camera twice while I was trying to do it. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I really considered going back and shooting this video again because I just wanted it to flow smooth and look like my normal videos do. But you know what? I'm not going to do that because I really wanted you to see how complicated this thing is. And now, this is not a figure that I got 2 days ago and transformed it twice and ran in here to shoot it either. I've had this figure for about a week and a half now, maybe a little longer. And every night I come home and I transform it. And I learn a little bit more about it, and I try to get good at it. And this is after a week and a half. I'm still having that much trouble with this figure. So as you saw, it's just not a fun transformation. But that being said, again, let's get back to the positives. The end result, as you can see, it's an absolute gorgeous, breathtaking, stunning, beautiful figure. If you just go all the way around so you can see all the detail, just all the detail is there. And again, I did not think that after the leader class Optimus Prime that we got for Revenge of the Fallen, after that mode, I didn't think that we're going to be able to really improve on that figure, but yet here he is. He's absolutely gorgeous. Now, he does have a couple of cool features. Let's go in here and look at the face. Let's get focused in. There's the face. And again, you know, focus, I say. And again, the face, really, really nice looking. Movie Optimus Prime face. As you can see, he does have the faceplate. However, you can take the whole head and just bring it up like that on that hinge, and then bring the entire face up. And once you got it all the way up, like right here, you can take it. You can see that there's a hinge right there. You can rotate that around, and that's his other face. And then you can bring everything back down again. And now you've got Optimus Prime without his faceplate. So you can display him in both modes, which is really cool that they found a way to do both of those in just the one head, and you can just kind of switch it back and forth. Really, really love that detail. That came out absolutely gorgeous. Really great. I love that. So, but you know me, I like my faceplates on my Primes. So that's where that one's going to stay. Now I'm going to bring the camera up just a little bit. I want to focus in on his chest so we can look at the matrix. Now, to look at the matrix, or to remove the matrix, we have to do a little bit of untransforming him. So what we're going to do is, again, get these windows out of the way. Be careful with these because they are very thin panels. And just kind of untab the chest panel from there. Bring this whole thing forward and out like that. There you go. Now, we can take the, there you go. You can take the ab panel and just bring this down. This is die cast. There's a lot, by the way, I should mention. There's a lot of die cast in this figure. That's one of the pieces right there. There's a lot of die cast in the legs. So there is some die cast in this figure. It's really, really nice. And now we're going to reach in here and we're going to get that panel that I showed you, that compartment that I showed you earlier. Pull that out, and that is going to open, and that is going to reveal the matrix of leadership right there, which is removable. Let's go ahead and take that guy out of there. Let's see if we can get him out without dropping the figure. There we go. So there it is. There is the matrix right there. Let me see if we can get him zoomed in and focused. Where are we at? It's not going to want to focus. There it is. There's the matrix right there. Very nice, very detailed. This is also die cast. So that's very nice. And you see that there's slots on either side of these. So what that's going to do is, if you look back inside of the compartment, there are 2 tabs right there. So just take either side, it doesn't matter which, and tab it right back in there. Just like that. Close the matrix compartment. Put that back in his chest. Close his abs, and then bring his ab panels back in. Tab those into place, and get everything back straightened out again where it's supposed to be. Just like that. There you go. And that's the matrix of leadership for Optimus Prime. So we looked at the faceplate. We looked at the matrix of leadership. Let's look at some of his weapons. And I really, really like the way... Oh, well, actually, let's look at his articulation first. So articulation, as you saw, we can turn the head side to side. We can go up and down a little bit. Not too much, because if you do, then you're going to have a gap right there. But you can look up and down just a little bit. Shoulders can go in and out. They can go forward and backwards all the way around. You have a rotation at the bicep. You got a bend at the elbow. The hands can rotate at the wrist. The elbow, the thumb can give you a thumbs up. The fingers are all articulated as well, masterpiece fashion. You've got the 3 that are all together, and then you've got the index finger that's on its own with a hinge at both knuckles. And then you've got slots inside of the hands as well for the weapons, which we'll be looking at here in a little bit. The hands can also, they have a hinge so they can go in and out like that, even though that's not part of the transformation. And we'll be looking at that in just a moment. There is a waist rotation. You've got in and out at the hips, forward and backwards. You got a rotation at the thigh right there. You got, you saw earlier, you got the double hinges at the knee. And then you have ball joints at the ankle. So a lot of range of motion for this guy as well. So you can give him really nice poses as well. Now, let's look at those weapons. So we're going to bring these guys in, and I'm going to separate the swords, and we're going to look at this gun. So you probably know where this is going. This is very masterpiece fashion right here. So we're going to open up the hand, and you'll see that there's a slot right in there. And then we've got tabs on either side of the weapon's handle. So this can go into either hand, but of course I'm going to go with the right hand and just put that through his fingers, tab it into the inside of his hand. If I can find the tab. There it goes. And then just close the fingers around the weapon, and there you go. So now Optimus is holding his weapon, as he should. Now, the sword's probably my favorite. I really like the way the swords look. Go ahead and close that up. And be careful with the fingers, because you can pop them off. So what I like to do here, real quick, around his back, remember that slot on the truck that you could put the weapons on? You can still do that for robot mode. So you can still take that gun, now that we're not going to use it, and pop it back there, and he'll have his gun tabbed into his back. And then, of course, you can also tab in the swords to the gun, just like we had in truck mode earlier as well. So he can carry all of his weapons on his back, just like this. There and there. And there you go. So you can carry his weapons on his back. So for the time being, I'm going to remove his swords, and I guess I can leave his gun sticking out back there. Now, this is really, really awesome. So we're going to take the wrists and we're going to make a fist, and we're going to flip the wrists in like that. And then we're going to take the swords. The swords have tabs, okay? So now you want to make sure that you have the silver side pointing up, and then you want the tab facing in so that the sword is pushed outwards from his arm as far as possible. And there's a slot right in there under his fist. So go ahead and tab the swords in there, and then bring the fist in. Now the fist isn't going to go back out all the way. Most of the way, but not all of the way, which is understandable. And you can pop that guy in there. And I think this just looks absolutely stunning right there. The way he can hold those swords. That looks incredible. That looks really, really good. You can see that. And you can see his fists are still kind of pointing in a little bit, which you would expect naturally they would be kind of coming in a little bit. So I think that looks fine. And if you look at it from the outside, it does look like it's just coming out from his forearm. So that looks really, really nice. Again, I can't say enough how beautiful and breathtaking this figure is. And that's why I'm so much on the fence with this figure, because right out of the bat, like the first night that I brought this thing home, I was just upset. I was just upset and disappointed and frustrated and just did not like what I had here. And then over the course of the next couple of days and over the last week, I've been, playing with it and messing with it and really just kind of loving what this figure does and how this figure looks. It's just that transformation. The getting him in the truck mode is absolutely frustrating to get all of the truck parts to work and line up correctly. And then, as you saw, the transformation, even after a week and a half of doing it daily, it's just difficult. So there it is. Let's go ahead and take his weapons out, and let's do a couple of comparisons. Although I really do love the way it looks with those swords sticking out like that. I may display him like that. But for the moment, let's just get these out of the way, and let's get him standing straight here. And for comparison, we'll bring MP-10, G1 Optimus Prime, and he's just a little taller than your MP-10 G1 Optimus right there. And there you go, that looks better. And then one more time, here he is with the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Optimus Prime. And again, Leader Class Optimus is going to be just a little taller. And again, I didn't think they could improve on this, but then this comes out, and when you look at them side by side, there's really no comparison. This makes this look terrible. I thought this was such a gorgeous, and it is. This is a gorgeous, beautiful, great looking figure, but standing next to this guy, there's just no comparison. This is the best movie Prime we've had right there. So there it is. So I think that's about it, really. I'm going to give him his swords again because I just love the way those look. At the risk of repeating myself a little bit, gorgeous figure, absolutely by far the best movie Prime that we have ever gotten. Gorgeous, beautiful figure. At $100 though, it should work better than it does. This doesn't work. It's too complicated. There's a difference between complex and complicated. This is complicated, and it's to the point of frustration. And it shouldn't be. A figure that you're going to pay that much for should work right out of the box, and this doesn't. So take that into consideration when shopping. If it's something that you're willing to put up with, the frustration and learning how to do it and all of that, well, then the end result is an absolutely gorgeous display piece, as you can see here. If it's something that you are intending to play with regularly, then maybe the frustration may not be worth $100 to you. So it's just something to think about and take into consideration with shopping. But at the end of the day, he does deliver an absolute breathtaking and stunning and gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful figure. And I can't stop looking at this thing. I just can't. I am in love with this figure. And I also hate this figure. I really do. So I think that about covers Transformers MPM-4 movie masterpiece Optimus Prime. What did you think of this figure, and what would you like to see me review next? Let me know by leaving me a comment, give me some thumbs up, subscribe and share with your friends if you like what you see, and I'll talk to you next time on That's Just Prime.